Let's take it to the next level. We got we got all these Antifa stories going on right now. Check this out. Milwaukee man mobbed by Black Lives Matter activists arrested for trying to defend his home. Now, this is the narrative that went out among many conservative, right-leaning, and anti-SJW type reporters. These Black Lives Matter activists show up in front of this guy's house. They're screaming. They literally have a banner that says Black Lives Matter. And they got the big Black Lives Matter fist. And then this guy in his window shows what looks like a shotgun of some sort. And then he pumps it and then he aims out the window. At some point after that, cops show up and arrest him. And all of these people start cheering. We now have an official statement from the police, and we're gonna break all this down. Milwaukee police tweeted, "Suspect arrested for pointing and aiming a long gun at protesters." They go on to say, on Monday, September 14th, and this is really weird. They include this weird context that's irrelevant to the crime in question. On Monday, September 14th, 2020, at approximately 4:25 p.m., Milwaukee police responded to a residence located at the 3400 block of North 80th Street regarding a trouble with subject call for service. The suspect threatened to physically harm the victim, who is his neighbor, while wielding a chainsaw, causing the victim to fear for their safety. The suspect, a 56-year-old man from Milwaukee, was arrested for disorderly conduct while armed. Okay, I'm not sure what that has to do with the crime in question now and why they're saying that. Why are they bringing that up?
Are they saying that the guy who held the long gun is the guy who threatened the dude with the chainsaw?
I think that's where we're going.
It's unclear, though, yeah.
On Tuesday, September 15th, at approximately 5:21 p.m., officers were dispatched to a demonstration at the same location where several individuals protested outside the suspect's residence. At approximately 8:30 p.m., the officers who were monitoring the protest were notified by a witness that the suspect was inside his residence by a window and that the suspect motioned the long gun as if he chambered around and then pointed the gun at the crowd. The video of the incident was subsequently broadcasted on several social media outlets. Officers made contact with the suspect and observed that he appeared to be intoxicated. He was subsequently arrested for endangering safety by use of a dangerous weapon while under the influence of an intoxicant, disorderly conduct while armed, and bail jumping. The bail jumping one I don't get. Criminal charges will be referred to the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office in the upcoming days. The Milwaukee Police Department continues to support the rights of those who choose to peacefully protest. So what do you think? Because I know a lot more about this, but I want to get your guys' impression before I tell you more secrets. What do you think?
So I think that this guy had every right to take action against people who were mobbing him. I think the police were ridiculously cowardly to just walk up and be like, I see our problem, we're going to arrest you, and then the crowd will disperse. And the fact that the crowd cheered the police, there's literally F12 on the back of one of the people in that picture, and she's then cheering for the police. Yeah. That is ideologically inconsistent with what she's supposed to be out there rioting for.
Yeah, these people who claim to hate the police, want to defund the police, called the police and then cheered when the police did what they wanted.
Oh my gosh. What's F12?
It means F the police.
Yeah.
Okay, my thoughts are the first paragraph where they said that the dude had a chainsaw and was threatening his neighbor makes it look like they're trying to make the guy look bad.
Right.
Yep. For no reason, unrelated.
Just to be like, okay, you're not going to hate this press release. Maybe you'll have sympathy for us.
Yep.
And then I wonder if it's a stand your ground state.
It is, yeah.
No, it's a castle doctrine state.
Meaning if someone's on your property, are you allowed to shoot them?
No, if they're trying to break in.
Okay, so they weren't trying to break in. They were outside on his property yelling at him.
And shining lights and playing loud music.
Shining lights. So they were is that assault? Shining lights on someone? It's someone?
Harassment, maybe.
So they're harassing the guy, and he responded with excessive force, maybe.
Brandishing a weapon and pointing at him.
And he was drunk while he did it, which is another form of crime.
They said he appered to be.
Or he was intoxicated, so some sort of drug.
No, they said he appeared to be. And from the first part of this press release, it sounds... Here, I'll tell you what I think. I don't know if this guy was drunk. I don't know if he chased somebody with a chainsaw. None of that's on video. It sounds like the police saw a mob of people and said, oh no, what do we do? And they said, and then the other cop is like, there's no way we can deal with this mob. Well, what if we arrest the guy in his house? Yeah. Arrest the guy in the house to appease the mob.
We were just talking about this.
Yeah. I talk about it a lot.
This is, well, if that's the case, that's bad policing. Although their job is to keep the peace. That's like their main gig. That's the cops' main thing.
And that means
sort it out in the courts
mob,
afterwards.
When the mob comes to your house, you will get arrested, not the criminals.
That's so weird.
Now here's the best part. One of the main guys who was live streaming this, one of the most prominent activists, has been, according to some reports, organizing parties at alleged racists' homes. They're like going to people's houses and they're, staging protests. This is the guy I was talking about earlier who believes he has a right, at least according to one outlet, he has a right to defend himself against police physically if they're unlawfully arresting him. Same guy, same activist. Now, he was at another major event where some young girls, like I think they were 13 and 15, went missing. And locals in the community started looking for them. They went to this block where the police had canvassed and the cops found nothing. The cops said it's not a critical missing persons case because it's only been 4 hours. It's not even been a day.
Whoa.
So are they really missing? The activists got angry. This guy showed up to a house where someone claimed to have seen the girls. There were about a dozen people already there, and this guy was there as well. The mob started protesting in front of the house, and then it quickly devolved into chaos. According to one story, 2 14-year-olds got shot. Gunshots rang out. Police came in and someone set fire to the home. The firefighters put the fire out and left. Someone set fire again. Apparently the firefighters had to come back and put the fire out again. The home was like almost not burned to the ground, but severely damaged. It turns out the girls weren't missing at all. They were just hanging out at a friend's house. So a mob of crazy people showed up to a house, fired guns, shooting 2 people and almost burning down a home, igniting it twice. For what? Some fringe accusation. Well, that same guy, one of the most prominent activists in the community, shows up to this dude's house. He probably knows this. He lives in Milwaukee. It was a national story when this house got set ablaze. So what do? You're in your home. These same activists show up. The same chance. You had heard the gunshots. You heard about the gunshots the last time it happened. People getting shot, and now they're in front of your house screaming at you. What do?
I would have called the cops.
Well,
I was the guy inside.
The cops were apparently there monitoring it.
I still would have called the cops, and then maybe grabbed the gun. But if he was too high to think that was straight, who knows?
Why would you assume he's high? Because the cops said so?
Yeah, a bad assumption maybe. But
Yeah.
I would have called the cops first. If there's a mob assembling outside, first thing I would do is notify police, so I'm on their side.
The cops are going to say it's a peaceful protest and they have a First Amendment right to do so.
It's a semi-peaceful. It's a mostly peaceful protest. They're harassing me through my window. And are they allowed to assemble on my property?
Yes. They weren't on his property. They were in the street.
Oh, well, if they're shining lights on his property, then they're on his property.
That's a good point. They were shining lights through his windows and blasting music at him and screaming and bullhorning at him.
Yeah, then they're infringing on his property.
I would say so.
So it's an interesting dilemma because maybe he was trying to deter the people by brandishing the weapon.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, maybe he crossed the line. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't like vigilante mob justice. I think that how do you police that stuff? Because I'm asking.
You send in the riot control police, so and they push them out. So what, tear gas, batons?
Military, heavy. It's
the
only way, pretty much, right?
We were talking earlier about how the First Amendment, that was the first article that was to become the Bill of Rights, talked about how 50,000 people would get one representative in Congress. The founding fathers did not predict that we would have 750,000 people for every one congressperson. They thought it was going to be 50,000. Population growth is massive. So it's really easy to put together laws based on small population and constitutional rights. And I've talked about how civil disobedience is the line where I think we as society are comfortable, meaning like you block a road, right? You inconvenience people, nobody gets hurt, you get arrested very quickly, you get a slap on the wrist, go home. But what happens when you have millions of people? Nonviolent civil disobedience can destroy the country.
Yeah.
And so we're entering a point where the security of the nation is threatened because there's too many people. So if you had, a small town back in the day and a tiny percentage showed up to protest some guy's house, it'd be like 10 people. You get a couple sheriffs and deputies to come out and say, everybody go home, you're disturbing the peace. Well, now you can very easily muster hundreds of people and there's only going to be a small handful of cops available to actually deal with it.
Yeah, especially with social media. I hope you don't mind if I jump in, but I was thinking about this. I think this press release that the police gave out was designed to keep more rioting from happening. I think them trying to portray this solo citizen as a bad guy who had been threatening like his neighbor with a chainsaw and then who was clearly intoxicated. Like, how dare he drink at home on an evening and not be prepared for an entire riot of people to show up? How do you prepare for that? If you have a gun, you're armed, and you're ready to defend yourself, great. You are also allowed to drink a beer on a Saturday night. I mean, it looks like the police are out to get him.
I think we should modify the laws so that if you shine lights into people's houses, you're on their property.
I would say
that might be the case. Like you're. That's a really good point.
Noise.
If you're sitting at home, wait. Lydia's points is excellent. If you're sitting at home and you're watching, let's say you're watching, I don't know,
Family Guy,
Caddyshack, and you're just loving the Bill Murray, the goat groundhog. It's so crazy, and you're like, I gotta crack a beer open. You crack a beer and you're drinking, and then all of a sudden a violent mob starts screaming at your house, and you're like, oh man, what do I do? So you grab your gun to protect yourself, and they go, but you're drunk. You're under arrest.
That's not good.
You can't defend your home if you were drinking and hanging out on a Saturday night?
Well, they said intoxicated. If he was high on coke, there's another that takes you to it. But
they
haven't said
that.
He appeared to be.
Yeah.
What if you still have to be able to defend yourself? I don't care what state you're in.
Exactly.
So what happens if let's push it a little bit further. What happens if you're in your house? And maybe the chat actually knows this. Someone mentioned there are nuisance laws. Yeah. But let's say you're in your house and you're watching, Starship Troopers 3. Because they made direct-to-DV versions of it. And you're a huge Starship Troopers fan. You're dude, I love this guy. The original actor.
Michael Ironsides, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. But imagine you're watching it and you're slamming down some some like Natty Light because you're just like
you're old school,
low quality.
I'm Chicago,
and
I'm born and bred.
Yeah, man.
And you're drunk, and then this gigantic, super ripped, well-known serial murderer kicks in your door and he's like, I am the great serial murderer come to kill you. And then you're like, and you grab your gun. Oh, but you're drunk. Okay, I'm exaggerating. I'm sure at that point you're going to be okay.
Yeah, I would think so.
But what if you have a crazy guy who's very threatening and saying like, you're next? Where do we draw the line on when you're allowed to defend yourself if you happen to have been at home just having a beer and minding your own business?
If they're infringing on your property, ultimately, so the lights and the noise is like that's hitting me in the ears. So you're here with me. I don't care where you're standing at that point.
It can be physically damaging if it's loud enough.
Yeah, or blinding if it's bright enough. Mm-hmm. That's why they're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would be curious about that. And so far the chat hasn't given me anything, but I think that is considered a form of assault if it's likely to hurt your ears or your eyes enough. Although I do know that under the Geneva Convention that is not considered like maiming or disfigurement, but it's a huge problem and it is like a lifelong issue.
Laying siege to someone's home.
Yeah, they were doing that in Cuba with sound. Did you hear those sound weapons they were using?
Yeah, I remember.
Well, I don't know if that was I think those are microwave weapons.
Whoa.
Like melting people's brains with microwaves.
Yeah,
jeez, vibration, like really high frequency.
Yeah.
So that story was crazy. That was people would hear a noise, and then all of a sudden they would get these mental ailments, like symptoms, with like loss of vision and headaches and light sensitivity. They had to wear special glasses because they couldn't see the light anymore. That's scary stuff, dude. You start hearing a weird noise, and then all of a sudden you get permanent brain damage.
Man, and then it'll pass through walls if it's microwaves.
Yeah, like a horror show.
Yep.
With enough power, you go through like stone rock.
And why wouldn't that be like, why would it's funny how I love spy movies, action movies. It's like everybody has a gun with a silencer that goes pew pew pew. Like silencers don't do that. But even beyond that, like why wouldn't they just have like a thing where they put up against the wall and then like stick it to the wall and then crank it, and then everyone inside just gets their brains melted by microwaves?
I think that's coming.
Yeah, I think it's here.
They'll do it from orbit.
From orbit?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it that cause way more? The waves are going to not be direct. Like
I think you can't direct.
Well,
waves.
I guess infrared laser.
Dude, I've been thinking a lot about modern war and why we never want to experience it because we don't know what kind of weapons are coming from orbit.
Have you seen? We've talked about laser-induced plasma channels.
Yeah.
So the way it works, and I am not an electrical engineer or laser engineer or whatever,
but he will be.
Is that they have an extremely high-powered infrared laser that flicks on and off real fast, ionizing the air. At the same time, supercharges this massive electrode. So then the electricity travels down the superheated path of least resistance. So effectively, they can point the weapon at you and fire and strike you with lightning.
And a friend of ours, Jeremy Riss, who's alien scientist on YouTube, you can check out his channel. Knows people to help us make one. No, he's got a team.
Have you seen the videos of the destroyers with the crazy laser turrets? It's got like 3 lenses and it aims and just just locks on and it just holds an infrared laser and the thing just bursts into flames and crashes.
I think China was testing one and said, we tagged you one of your jets to the US government.
That was laser targeting.
Oh, so they were just letting us know they could target the jet.
They were locked on.
But I've heard of what you're talking about.
There's a video, you can watch it on YouTube.
Oh, and they just take it out of the sky, turn it on, turn it off.
Bro.
And
Did you hear about the UFO over the West Coast or whatever?
I think no, I just caught reports. What happened?
Yeah, reports of a weird triangular-shaped flying vessel.
Aluminum magnetic craft that they're moving around with the magnetic.
No, I don't know.
Magnet.
I don't
I think
know.
that's how they're doing it.
Like, there's a bunch of really clear pictures of it.
Yep.
And they were saying, yeah, how did we go
Dude,
from like police
like-
battalion riots to aliens?
Just like sound weapons.
Sound waves. Yeah.
You were just like,
I've been wanting to go there my whole life, man.
You've just been waiting this whole time.
Yeah, there's a crazy video. Maybe we'll pull it up tomorrow, and we can talk more about
Get
that
to
stuff.
the bottom of it.
But we got more Antifa stuff.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
$2 billion in damage. Look at this. George Floyd riots caused record-setting $2 billion in damage, new report says. Here's why the true cost is even higher. Why is the true cost even higher? Freedom Foundation for Economic
Yes, do tell us.
Education.
Oh, they're very cool. I like them.
When they say dozens of people were killed or injured. Let's get to the point. They say the U.S. has experienced rioting over racial tensions before, but this report shows the damage from the latest unrest will far exceed any historical precedent. The arson, vandalism, and looting will result in at least $1 billion to $2 billion of paid insurance claims, Axios reports. This will eclipse the record set in the LA 1992 riots after the acquittal of police officers who brutalized Rodney King. However, there are many reasons that this figure vastly underestimates the true damage wrought by the looting and violence that has broken out in recent months. For one, the Axios report only measures insured losses. The obvious problem here is that not all the damages were insured. There was a story I was reading where apparently a bunch of these businesses, their haul away claims, which means like for when the debris and rubble is capped at $25K.
Oh.
Whereas the actual cost was $150.
Whoa.
For many of these businesses. When they destroyed the entire building, the insurance didn't cover the cost of removal of debris.
Wow.
So they just did nothing and they walked away from it. So the costs are way higher than $2 billion. They go on to say, as I previously explained, insurance is no panacea for the societal ills imposed by rioting. Indeed, 75% of U.S. businesses are underinsured, and about 40% of small businesses have no insurance at all. Their untold millions in losses don't show up in the $2 billion figure. So too, insurance doesn't account for the personal pain and suffering caused by rioting. For example, what about the more than 15 people who died during the unrest? It's actually more than that, but some of the deaths were like peripheral or considered to be accidental. Their lives and their families' pain don't get counted in any insurance company's budgetary analysis, nor does the pain of those such as elderly businessman punched in the face while his store was ransacked in Kenosha, Wisconsin, manifests itself in total reports of uninsurance compensation. You know what I'm going to say? You know what they don't account for? That Trump over there. You can buy another stand-up Trump, right?
Yeah, I should be able to.
What about the painting next to it my mom made?
No.
Insurance can't cover that.
Absolutely
No,
not.
take a picture of it.
So what happens when your business, you've got a painting that a family member made for you, maybe a family member who died, and they burned it down? Insurance can't pay for that.
Right.
That's well beyond monetary costs,
And
man.
psychological value is you can't put a dollar
Yep.
on that.
This is something I was thinking about, because when you burn someone's small business, you are as close to literally, in the correct sense, as possible burning the American dream. Because if they started from the ground up and they've been working on it for 35 years and they've handed it down through their family and they've taught all their kids to work there, that's gone. And you cannot buy that back. There's nothing that will replace that. I mean, that's more than billions of dollars.
And you're just talking about repairing the actual structure,
Right.
not about how long it will take, all the lost revenue that your business
Exactly.
isn't open, and the people that you'll lose that have to go get other jobs.
Yep. Regular customers who don't shop with you anymore.
I would love to know how many of these things how many businesses that were destroyed were not insured or were underinsured.
Most of them.
And you're saying a sixth, so of the $150,000, they only cover $25,000. That's a sixth.
That was a story from the Minneapolis Star Tribune, I think it is.
Man,
They
so
said that many of these businesses are capped out at $25K.
$2 billion.
Doesn't even account for the true cost of all of the damage.
Man.
Well, that's the far left. So this damage, to go back to that sedition stuff with Bill Barr, I think it's interesting because what if they're pro-China? Some of them are.
Man, you're speaking my language. I think my conspiracy is that the CCP is trying to sow dissent in the United States, and this is how they're doing it. It's a perfect opportunity. Did you guys look at that Tucker Carlson interview about that girl, that Chinese whistleblower? I didn't see it, but apparently she said that it was made in a lab and it was as a weapon.
Yeah, but she also worked at the University of Hong Kong.
Okay, so that could be bunk, but
right.
It's but not out of question for a government to tamper with a foreign country.
So the point I brought up on that story, for those not familiar, Tucker Carlson had on a whistleblower from a university in Hong Kong saying the Chinese Communist Party manufactured and intentionally released COVID. My thought on that is there's a potential for bias because she was working, in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. So Hong Kong is being repressed and suppressed by the Chinese Communist Party. And but I will say, why do we trust one expert over another if they have the same credentials?
Yeah, good
Why
point.
is it that if one expert comes out and says it's not man-made, we say, you got it, done, story's over. But when she comes out, everyone says fake news, ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
They suspended her on Twitter.
Yeah, she got suspended on Twitter. And on Instagram, Tucker Carlson's post was flagged as fake news. Here's the best part. When it says, see why this is fake, it doesn't actually talk about the whistleblower. It references months-old stories about COVID. So we have a news story. We have an actual researcher who was working at a university in Hong Kong saying they know this, and they published a paper on it. And now they're taking old stories that don't actually reference anything having to do with her and using it to prove Tucker's story is false.
Well, okay. So that's crazy. That's a little over managed, I think. So free software. I'll say it again, free software. Let's have like a government free software social network that, is run by the people. But okay, so COVID aside, maybe that they're tampering and funding this chaos,
or in some capacity trying to make everything crazy.
Yeah, it's perfect timing.
I mean, they hate Trump. They want to make Trump look bad. Maybe. I don't know. This kind of helps Trump in some ways, but the economic damage is bad for this country.
It's devastating.
Yeah.
And psychological damage. People are like, the suicide rate, I don't know what it is, but I've heard that it's gone up like sadly,
yeah,
a sad
it's
amount.
Awful, like 40%.
I'm so blessed that we've been able to all live kind of together in a house.
No, keep our sanity.
The socialization is key. I cannot imagine what it would be. Sometimes I go into these modes where I'm like, what if I was living alone in an apartment in like New York? How horrible the last 6 months would have been.
You'd be insane.
I would have gone nuts.
You'd be the Joker.
The most gross internet videos is what I would have been doing. It would have been just, people would be like, shut
what
up.
Is going
it's
on
so
right now?
negative.
Oh, Ian.
You'd be probably going out screaming in the streets.
I don't know what, man.
You're broke. You're about to be evicted. You're angry. Who do you blame? The government.
I would have blamed that. I would have become radicalized, like in my beliefs, because I already believe that there's a power structure out there that's pulling the strings on this system. I'm very red-pilled, by the way, and I try and play it off like I'm not, because we need to keep things stable.
Yeah, we try.
And I would have lost it, I think. And there's so many people in that position right now.
Well, it is true that there was an intelligence report saying that China and Russia are both interfering. And the official statement was that Russia prefers Russia prefers Trump, but China prefers Biden. So pick your poison. I don't think Russia's as bad as they claim.
No, I'm going after the Democratic Republic of Russia. Is that what it's called?
What I mean is, Russia is a bad place for a lot of reasons. But in terms of being a threat to the United States, it's not nearly as bad as they're trying to claim it is.
It's not communist anymore.
It's not even about that. It's about, are they a threat to the U.S.? China is a substantial threat to the U.S. and their cybersecurity, their attacks, and we actually have confrontation with them. We have some confrontation with Russia, but I think China's the bigger threat.
Yeah, dude, the Communist Party of China is some one-party system, has control of their entire government. That's so weird.
Yep, the party. Yeah, so not a fan. And if I had to make a choice, I'd say I want the guy who's opposed to China, because China's the real threat. And I've been covering a lot of stories pertaining to China and the things they've been doing for a long time. Like Russia wants to set up a trade federation in Eastern Europe. Ooh, their trade federation.
Putin, the whole being in office for 20 years thing, it's constitutionally legal in Russia, as far as I can tell from what I've learned. And he is a hardcore dude. Like he's this ex-KGB, like stone cold face killer machine. He looks like, when you look at the guy, rides a bear in some memes.
In some memes.
So
yes.
I don't think that he wants to be the controller of Russia. I think he's just terrified to let it go and see it devolve back into
that's
communism.
all
but that's
all power
conjecture.
corruption. No, it's all power corruption.
Yeah,
it's
maybe.
it's better if I'm in charge. You'll see all of these despots in North Africa and the Middle East who are like, if I go, you'll see how bad it gets.
Yeah, I think that's his mindset right now.
And then to be honest, Libya did get really bad.
Yeah, like but
Yikes.
I would like to see a peaceful transfer of power in Russia. I feel like he's waiting for a great leader in the United States to emerge so that he can breathe easy and let go and make sure stuff doesn't.
I don't know. People want power. They
digress.
don't want to give it up. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. And we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.